it goes through those stages. But I'm really happy about many things this weekend. First and foremost, of course, on how great the fights were, but equally excited I am to really have a fantastic working relationship again with Lou DiBella, with Gary Shaw, with John Worth, and with all of these promoters, because it really is time. It is time for the sport of boxing that the promoters pull together and work together, and I think tonight you saw 4 promotional companies involved, and the winners were clearly the fans. As I was walking out from the arena, I've never experienced that, how fans were yelling at me and at us, how great of a night of boxing this was. So it's really a pleasure, Lou, to work with you again.
Just one thing quickly, we spent a couple of hours together, yesterday talking, and Gary did also with Richard, and what Richard said is true. We got to pull together the sport. This is a sport of kings. We got to bring it to the position that it deserves again, and the only way to do that is to work together. So the sniping has to stop, and the bullshit has to stop, and we have to make the best fights. Kerry, props to you, because people shat on this card beforehand, and you showed what kind of card can be made if you sit there and you think about it. And thank you, Richard, thank you, Oscar. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you. And I'm not just saying that, but what I want to say as well, Lou and Gary and Artie Palulu and Joe DeGuardia, they were instrumental in putting together the Boxing Promoter Association. A few promoters, Top Rank, Golden Boy and King, decided not to join, but I want to announce today that Golden Boy will join the Boxing Promoters Association, and that we are going to do whatever we can together with these other promoters to really further the sport and continue to deliver to fight fans the fights they want to see, irrespective under which promotional banners these fights are happening and taking place. So really happy to announce that. Well, actually, Bob Arum called me on my cell shortly after the fight. Well, don't write yet, because I'm just kidding. I know you have very quick fingers, Kevin. Well, I sure hope. My phone is on. Bob has my number. I haven't changed it. And I can assure you that if that fight is not happening, it's not because of Golden Boy. I remember a few years ago at the Mandalay Bay, when we had the second fight, and I was standing there and I was upset about the results, and Aaron was there and he was telling me, and I was asking for a rematch, and he said, well, it will happen, but these kind of things have to mature. Well, I think they have matured, and I think the time is now to get this fight done. And I realize, that everyone wants to see Mayweather and Pacquiao, but if for whatever reason this fight is not going to happen now, I know eventually it will happen, but I think first things first, and Juan Manuel Marquez not only should get that fight, but he really, really deserves that fight. And I know I'm speaking for the media and the fight fans that this is the fight we all want to see.
Berto is the welterweight and Marquez is not. And that's a good point. Marquez was 33 his last fight, and was he 34 yesterday, I think. So, he's certainly not as big a guy as Manny has become. Is he big enough now to compete and successfully with Manny Pacquiao?
Well, I think at the weigh-in, the last fight, Pacquiao was at 145.5, and if I'm not mistaken, I read stories where his strength and conditioning coach said that Pacquiao could actually make 140. So I'm sure that the weight could be found where that fight could take place, because I really think this is the fight people want to see. So I don't think that the weight is going to be an issue. And if it is, then it's an excuse on their side.
Richard, over here to your left. Freddie Roach told myself, and I think a few other guys the other day, that there would be no catch weight for this. That if Marquez and Pacquiao fight a third time, it would have to be at 147. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, you can ask that question to Juan Manuel Marquez if he has any thoughts on it, about it. I mean, whatever he's gonna want to do is gonna be fine with me, and I'm gonna push. And I know Oscar's gonna push, and we're all gonna push, and I know you media guys are gonna push for it as well. That hopefully that fight will happen. Okay. Well, he's here. It's really a pleasure, and give it up to the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Juan Manuel Marquez.